Oh,
I mean,
okay.
I suppose.
They're forgiven.
Yeah. Jesse said they had some guts to make it a chalet match against Soniqs. Do you agree?
Yeah,
do you agree? Would you agree?
Yeah, because look at Soniqs last calendar year. I mean, they're phenomenal on this map. They're great at it. But M80, they got spoiled, right? They got iconic. They got some big names showing up. And also, I think there's a couple of things to talk about. Demo said, where is Citizen? Sure. But also, kind of, Grixer?
Toronto, actually.
Oh, I seen Toronto, yeah?
He and Spoit are both currently in Toronto. That is correct. Yeah.
Great. Okay, that's where they are.
Just in case you're wondering where their location is.
But like Grixer versus Lucas Diaz, they're both gunning for that top 5 position in terms of rating and kills, plus minus, and also both in the category in top 5 of clutches. So I want to kind of see who shows up most because they've been kind of quote-unquote individually carrying the team statistically, but also where the other members and how they're going to show up.
Solus banned, Azami banned. Neither of these operators were banned on our very first match of the day. It was the venue up front. It's a very large venue, so it'll be interesting to see how many seats are sold and ultimately how large of an audience we can get. For those of you that are interested, I don't know what the URL is, and I'm not going to regurgitate an entire URL to you, but just look up the Rainbow Six Copenhagen Major, the Blast Copenhagen Major. But get some information. You got about 45 days from now until I think the show begins, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, about 45, but I was going to say, do so quickly, because I actually checked the ticket sales myself, because I see that how many seats were available. It's almost sold out from what's publicly on the website.
I wonder if they will release multiple waves of tickets, because I remember that's what happened with Charlotte.
Yeah.
Charlotte, they released multiple waves, and I believe they did the same with SI at the very beginning, but I mean, I could be wrong. Berlin sold out very, very quickly. So yeah, I mean, for those of you that were unable to make it to either Berlin or the Jönköping Major, make sure that you get your tickets for the Copenhagen Major as quickly as you can. It'd be great to see you here, providing that we are at it. Because there's never a guarantee that we will be present. That said, everything seems to be resolved at the servers. We are back in action, Nick, on Chalet. Very first bomb site, Bar Gaming.
I love this. Kino immediately on the Monty. We've only seen Monty being played very commonly on Chalet, and honestly, I'm not quite sure how I would apply Monty in this particular attack and lineup because it's going to be a bar defense. Typically attackers, they'll go top floor, they'll do that typical roam clear from master bedroom, go on over, and then they'll have the first big difficulty of clearing out that piece of utility, top blue stairs, chimney, those deployable shields that we see from both the smoke and the frost, the Jaeger ADSs with the 1 mine magnets, so difficult to clear. And Kino and the Monty could actually be the #1 operator that M80 has at their disposal. They want to use to brute force this defense setup rather. It's going to be Rexon and Citizen playing together as the duo upstairs with pretty much all 5 members of M80 trying to take those 2 members down. But Gio is there as a middle support to hold down Library as well.
I think the expectations for Soniqs coming into this particular season were very high.
Yes.
They import Citizen, they go to SI, and then they got blown up by Astralis in one of the more shocking results of the entire event. They have had some struggles so far in the NA League and have not had that same sustained success that you would think that they would have based on the pedigree of this roster. But it's very evident that most of these teams in the NA League are making some serious changes, whether it be to the way that they go about things, strategies, operator lineups, etc. Spoit very quickly in the building. He gets one nice shot on the Citizen. Both of the imports involved in action. Iconic taking out Geo, suddenly M80 have decided that everybody has to die. 3 players from Soniqs removed, and maybe a brief lull in action.
Damn, that was effortless. Like, that is such a difficult thing to clear, and M80, they made such quick and easy work of it.
Every single 1v1 engagement breaking in their favor. Now you've got upstairs control for M80. Grixer trying to retake, it's in vain. Seems like M80 at this point is everywhere all at once. Gunner's last alive in a 1v5, and he's going to come toe-to-toe with the Monty. Kino might want to box him out, and it's a flawless round done by the icon himself of Iconic. M80, make that one do indeed look easy.
Damn. I mean, the one thing I was a little bit sad about was that we didn't really get to see Kino on the Monty. He was like, fireplace, lobby door, tossed out a smoke grenade, and then in the next 5 seconds, you know, upstairs, M80 just found 3 kills. And Spoit leading that entry on the double door piano into top blue, just finding a disgusting kill onto Citizen on that top blue shield, really opened things up. Iconic, second kill in the round for him, and that's full top door control essentially. Both deployable shield positions shut down. Sure, Geo's inside library, but he's next to fall, and then there's full map control with the last 2 defenders on the bomb site downstairs, but they have nowhere that's safe. And then Kino comes into action, shuffling them around on the Monty, making them unaware of where the enemies are going to be, where they're going to get shot from, and a flawless round at that. M80 really going through the attack and repick phase right now, hovering both a Glass, a Buck, a Brava, but really changing things up. The Line, the Fink, and the Dokkaebi being the primary spearhead instead, with the support of Cass, the Diaz, and Iconic on the Ace and the Sophia. The flexibility from M80 has been impressive so far, with majority of the roster actually flexing across multiple operators, with probably the exception being Sport, who's just always going to be on a fully frag-oriented operator, the Finga, the Ana, etc.
I mean, that's why you went out and got Spoit.
Absolutely.
You got him so that you could have more consistency on your entries along with Iconic. It was something that was discussed by the M80 leadership and the coaching staff, was that they wanted somebody who, I believe the quote was less hesitant and more consistent. Well, in a single round so far, you got some consistency from Spoit. He marched into Piano after getting droned in, got the first pick, held that position, got the follow-up pick onto Grixer as well. 2 huge pieces of SQ just removed from the map, all because Spoit did exactly what you wanted him to do.
Yeah, let's not forget Iconic either.
No, that's true.
They cover 5 kills between the two in that first opening round. There's the 2 new boys doing all the work.
M80's gonna box Shadows. They looked for Geo up top. They couldn't get him. Rexon falls instead. Maybe a bit of a different target. Grixer going in. Look at this, it's 1 minute. And again, M80 are pummeling Soniqs. Now it's Gunner's turn to get some heat on him. With the Fink in play for M80, they can top up all of this lost HP. Gunner still holding this angle, maybe not seeing his head through that trophy box. That glass case of emotion. Guarding against whomever may emerge from those double doors. But M80 has drones on pretty much everybody. They've got intel as to where these 3 last players of Soniqs are currently sitting on the map. That is so strong. The only player that might have gone unspotted is Citizen down below in the basement. If you don't spot Citizen, he can do serious damage.
And this pace change. A quick first strike, then a full minute of nothingness. But look, Geo and Soniqs, they feel like they're constantly under attack, but there's actually no one there. It's all drone work. It's so hard to play against this playstyle.
Well, Gunner retakes first kill for Soniqs. Down goes Iconic, but they lose one of their teammates. Geo's down for the count. Citizen on the lurk, taking out Kino, going back and forth. Gunner will get ever closer. Gomez is ready for it, and Gunner looks the wrong way. Citizen was on that lurk, but they've got eyes on him. Diaz finishes it off, knows exactly where he's coming from, and while he might not have been the one player on Soniqs with the drone on him, getting that kill is what gave him away. What a triumphant beginning for M80 so far, only losing 2 players for those 2 rounds.
Yeah, and just to kind of talk about M80 and how they look so lethal in their gunfights and entries right now, which of course is the nature of how you play Chalet on attack. It's arguably what you should be doing. M80, so far in the first 2 play days, not counting today, is actually number 2, so second place in terms of overall plants for the team, sitting on 11 plants total. OXG being the number 1 team, of course, with 12. So while M80, they are a lethal team right now, really showing their gun skill capabilities, they're also playing a structured game of Rainbow Six Siege when the map actually speaks for it. M80 so far, they've played 4 games. They've played Oregon, Bank, Border, and Border, and now taking us to their 3rd map, which of course, or sorry, 4th map, which is Chalet. So they can play a different style of Siege, tailored to the map that favors that specific playstyle, and find success in various ways. And I'm very surprised to see it, because M80, they just got, you know, swooped together as a roster only a few weeks ago. You know, Spoit barely made it to the States, you know, to play in the NAL. He's actually in Canada right now, as you said, Parker, in Toronto, getting the whole visa process going through, etc. So everything was kind of like a quote-unquote like last-minute thing, but so far, a great showcasing for them.
It's honestly hard to tell how long a player's been on a roster for, because teams like to sit on announcements. You know, I'll hear a scrim report of, oh, so-and-so is joining, you know, this team, and then the official announcement won't come for a month and a half, even though they've been scrimming together for a month and a half. Or then you have a player like Vertical, who apparently joined that Beast Coast squad like quite literally 4 days, 5 days before their very first match.
Yeah.
It's always hard to glean from that information just how long they've been on a team for. We know for a fact that this SQ squad's been together for a while because they competed at SI.
Yep.
M80 making some changes after SI.
I think Soniqs, their mission right now is try and take back the control into their hands, because right now they're just losing those individual again.
Rexon can't be losing those. Rexon seems to have two speeds. Either start the match off really, really slow and accomplish almost nothing on your roams or your entries, and then crush everybody in the later portion of a map, providing you get there, or start off really, really hot. It looks like we are getting the first of Rexon and not the second, which is probably not the version Soniqs wants right now.
No, I mean, the only real concern for that specific instance, that Rexon is so far off from his team, so that when he dies alone in a crucial position on that Pluggo shield, no one can really retake the position and make a play off of it. So it's just like a dead member, right? There's nothing really being gained off it. It's just a 4 versus 5. If someone could swing back, do some damage, or kill a couple of drones, find some sort of value, maybe you can argue it's worth the trade, but it's just not in this instance.
It's 2 drones thrown at Gunner as how he now needs to move from his position over by Piano, within arm's reach of the bomb. But when you got Iconic doing that, it doesn't matter how close you are to the site. Immediately Iconic putting words in the ears of the rest of his teammates, and another flawless round shaping up here for M80. This is a drubbing, a run out from Citizen though. He spent half of this entire match in the basement. Grixer sees multiple bodies, decides that none of them are what he wants, and instead repositions, but it was the wrong choice. Wrong place, wrong time. Citizen again in a 1v4 that becomes a 1v3, but droned out just prior to the kill. The Oryx on limited HP. M80 with diffuser down now, holding angles, preventing Citizen from getting back into the site. If none of them give a single inch of movement, Citizen will have to fight against them with no help whatsoever. He's got great aim, he's got good game sense, and I have a suspicion he knows where they are, but sometimes you're like trying to roll a boulder up a hill. That boulder's gonna fall down from time to time. 3-0 for M80.
Yeah, and it's again, I mean, it's a little bit easy for me because they actually are not the ones making the first move in half of these rounds. I mean, sure, they get the shot, they hit the head, etc., but it's actually, more often than not, it's Soniqs trying to advance into the attacking force of M80 and then immediately getting shot down. There might be a world in which Soniqs gotta slow things down, let M80 get close to the bomb side, you know, take more risks, get more openings, and then start lashing back. As we saw in that late round, Citizen running out garage basement trench, getting a quote-unquote free kill, then running back upstairs, finding a second. That would be great, except that Citizen was like 1 versus 4, 1 versus 5, so it doesn't really matter in the end. Soniqs, they do call a tactical timeout after going down 0-3 in round count, and I think it's the right and the wise choice to turn this around. Chalet's attacker-sided. It is preferred to start on attack to build up those rounds, but you should never go down 0-3 in this one-sided of a match.
Soniqs obviously cannot be very excited about this, and one point of criticism that I do think falls on the Soniqs right now is M80 have played these first 3 rounds almost flawlessly, but they are exploiting something that over the first 3 playdays became very crystal clear to the opponents of Soniqs. It's that if you can keep Citizen out of action, you are always going to be in a 4v5. He's been playing a very consistent lurk role for Soniqs, and Grixer's been kind of playing that as well. If they're disjointed and not backing each other up, a good team will recognize that, isolate you, and not engage you. They will leave you. Can Citizen turn around a 1v5? Can Citizen turn around a 1v4? Maybe sometimes.
Yeah.
Not always. Can Grixer turn around a 1v5, a 1v4? Again, not always. Sometimes, maybe. But your safest bet is if we know the weakest quote-unquote players of Soniqs are the players closest to the bomb site, target Geo, target Gunner, get him out of the way, take control of the site. The bomb site and the setup the Soniqs have created will now work in your favor on attack. That means that both Citizen and Grixer, and Rexon to a certain extent, are not able to retake because of the numbers advantage that have been racked up by the attackers and because of the way that most of these bomb sites tend to play with each other. So it's something that these teams are definitely exploiting against Soniqs, and I have no doubt with the capable coaching hands of M80 that they've done their homework, and they have come to that same conclusion as well. Through the first 3 rounds, it certainly looks like it's the case.
This could be a fast one. Sense Glass, Amaru, I mean...
Oh! I mean, you get a trade, at least to be fair. The Amaru is still in play. The Gridlock experiment from Iconic, I was quite excited to see where those track stingers would go. Alas, Iconic is the first death for M80, traded out for Gunner. Gunner on 1 and 4 through the first 4 rounds, and this time on Smoke. That's a critical operator and a very good counter to Ascends as well. If you think there's somebody playing behind that teal curtain, you can just throw out a toxic canister and where you think the default plant spot is going to be, or even swing it with your shotgun.
I believe this is the first Sense and Gridlock play we've seen so far in NAL for stage 1, if I'm not mistaken. I'll double check that. I believe Fresh made it.
I feel like we've seen Sense, but I think so.
I'll double check.
I could be wrong.
It was going to be a rush, but things have changed now for M80. They're going to slow things down, but still go for this mini execute with the smoke grenades.
Look at this setup. You've got a Rooney, or you've got an Amaru in play. You've got a Capitao, Gridlock, Sens, Glaz, and all these tools that are being brought out. And I like what they're trying to do, but it does not pan out at all. You've lost the Gridlock before any real influence can be committed. The Glaz of Kino doesn't have much success at all. I mean, I guess you've still got the Sens up, right? Yeah. One of those rollers still in play. You've got Capitao as well, a pretty standardized operator for most of these smoke takes. Soniqs punching back, and punching back effectively. The Frost Mat being a great aid to Soniqs' chances.
Pogmats.
If you must.
Citizen is in the lobby. He deserves to be recognized for him calling it a Pogmat. He was the inventor of that term, I believe.
Well, there you go. Credit where credit is due.
Also, based off Jack's information on Twitter, Sense has not been played nor has Gridlock as of yet, but of course with this round, they now have. Only missing Blackbeard in a bit, and we've seen them all.
Oh my. Diaz showing his shoulder in the wrong way. This is a lockout for Soniqs. Grix are the last 2. He's technically lurking, off-site roaming, but he's playing off the same position inside a kitchen for his 2 picks. And Soniqs get on the board after their timeout, looking far more confident. I don't want to be a naysayer here, but how much of that is M80 bringing an extremely unconventional lineup and trying for a strategy that forces you to go all in relatively quickly, and then unfortunately having that get blown up pretty early on?
No, I was going to say the same thing. It's like, it's a great round for Soniqs. They look comfortable. They won gunfights. They played more together, sure. But as you said perfectly, it is M80 going for a one-off rush strat. They get a one-for-one trade in the beginning, not what they wanted. They called off the initial rush after that, went for that mini execute. That also failed for them. And then they're in that awkward, 2 versus 3, 2 versus 4 situation where Soniqs, they're just in so much better and stable position. And it's what tends to be happening from teams is when you build like a 3-0, 4-0 lead, you will try and, whip out these like one-off pocket strats because they're not statistically the best thing to do. Maybe it has like a 45-50% win rate, but when all rounds matter so much, you're not gonna go for the risky rounds. When you start off, you're very early, opening round number 2, round number 3, you're gonna start building that round count. When you get comfortable in that 3-0, then you can start doing the funny stuff. Beast Coast, last match on Cafe, did the same thing. They had a rush, it worked, they did it twice in a row. Why? Because they're up 4-1. They can afford to lose one of those rounds, and it's worth taking that risk in case it does work out.
Back to the conventional for M80.
Oh, DS.
Except some difficulties. Jesse explicitly talked about M80's usage of Dokkaebi. The Korean operator will be in the hands of Kino for this round, so a change.
Kino being a flex player for his team, both the Monty, hovered the glass as the Gomez, now playing the Dokkaebi. It really is a matter of M80 changing things around, allowing everyone to do as much as possible for the team. I mean, it's iconic on Heartbreach most rounds, which it's Chalet, you're playing Ace, you're basically a third entry, but still.
Oh, there's the first pick. Gunner needs to come online for his team. Soniqs have not got an uncontested first blood until now. They were involved in the first duel last round, traded out, but still not successful, give themselves an advantage. Taking down Gomez on Ash. Those are breaches off of the board. Strong. Not just breaches, but actually 2 sets of them. Breaching rounds and breaching charges.
Yeah, also one of the best ways to deal with that deployable shield piano hallway. Now Spot has to rotate over instead, use those frag grenades, and it's just gonna slow things down from M80 because Spot's halfway across the map in library. Iconics on Solar repel, D is on Big Window repel. It's a very disjointed and scattered out M80. They don't really have a specific point of striking point. They're just fishing.
Oh, I mean, they're deciding to take the engagement to M80. This timeout paying off, and it looks like M80 are not showing that same level of confidence that they had before. I don't know if they just decided to start off hot or not, but losing 2 engagements relatively quickly, leaving a minute to go. No logic bombs, but you still got Spoit. It's still definitely winnable.
What?
Flicking over, winning a puzzling engagement.
Attackers have recovered.
Bye-bye, Grixer.
That's ridiculous.
That is
I mean, you
very
should not be winning
ridiculous,
that gunfight whatsoever. And that might just give M80 a chance in this round because it looked all doomed for them. But now, with 40 seconds left, they got a chance at this.
I mean, the beautiful thing for Soniqs is that Spoit and Diaz have been reduced to almost rubble. Gunnar was roaming down by those stairs into basement. He's gone. No more available as West Main has been freed up. Geo now has his back, looking like it's turned to that position. Nope. Never mind. That was my perspective.
Geo's got to be the hero here. He's going to have 3 members around him.
Spoit might be able to see this. Does he see the gun barrel, though? Gives his position away. Geo still quite stoic in this position. Takes out Spoit. He's only on a single point of HP. Gets swung on. Gets the drop onto Diaz. Sidearm out!
Oh!
But Geo wins it with the pistol in both, giving Soniqs a chance to tie this first half. They found themselves in a hole at the tail end of round number 3, but they're building a ladder. And inch by inch, they're getting to the top.
And Geo was indeed the hero of the round. I mean, he played that beautifully, just waiting in that corner, striking out aggressively to isolate the 1 versus 1, and reading that Sophia actually had already jumped in the window and isolated that second member. And again, there's only like 7 seconds left on the clock. M80 very slow to the punch in that round. One thing that's a surprise to me is we're actually seeing Citizen basically being the last defender alive, or one of the last defenders alive, almost every single round. When we think of Citizen back in Europe, back in G2, we often see him play like Jaeger, take early engagements and fight the opening lines from the attacking side, but that's Rexon's job, and quite frankly, it's Gunnar's job, it seems right now on Soniqs, and Citizen is almost waiting on site for something to happen, to get active in like the 2v2s and the 3v3s, but more often than not, you know, Soniqs, they find themselves in a disadvantageous position where even though Citizen's a great player in those rough situations, I think they can get more value on sending him on the front lines. Let him build an advantage for you, and then maybe fall back and keep your cards close to you instead. Mixed results, 3-2 still favoring M80. And the attacker repicks just keep on giving. I mean, Kino's on Thermite now, Gomez on the Fuse, and now Diaz gets his turn at playing Dokkaebi instead. This, of course, is due to the bombs being downstairs in the basement, and not everyone likes playing Fuse. That seems to be Gomez's thing for this team, so because he has to be on this particular operator, things will change out for Diaz. And of course, because of how much hot destruction you have here, hatches above, the front and the back end breach, when I get 2 hot breachers, that's why Kino's on Thermite.
It's a very common role. I like seeing Kino on Thermite, so...
Yeah, and smoke.
Yeah. Oh, his smoke in particular, quite nasty.
Yeah. His shotgun does more damage than anyone else's. I always say this.
I don't think it works that way. Puts a little bit more grease in it, I guess. I don't know.
Charge going up.
Freeze it up. Not seen it on Bravo today, actually. It has been played, but we haven't seen much impact necessarily. The rounds have been rather aggressive.
2 rounds, 3 rounds in our very first match, I think.
Yeah,
so far.
Mostly been gunfight oriented so far, even in those Brava rounds. Of course, they made it. They got utility they want to spend first on Gomez and the Fuse, try and get upstairs to use it. You can use it on the top floor here, and it goes down to Fireplace and breaks the entirety of the floor.
It was Astralis that we saw this on, if I remember correctly, back at SI. It was one of the first times that I had actually seen it. It's a beautiful strategy. Everybody expects the fuse charge into the bomb site, but if you use the fuse charge to blow up the roof of the bomb site,
look at that,
then that gives you so much of a greater vantage point. The problem is that sometimes the explosion doesn't actually take out both layers of the floor, so you have to use all 4 of those cluster charges quite well.
But I mean, can the Sledge do that? Sure, but it takes a lot of time, and again, you're going to be exposed instead of Fireplace. Because you can go top floor, you don't care about the first floor itself, so you're just ignoring that middle layer in the sandwich, and you get the most value out of it.
Oh, Gomez might have just seen one of the players down in Connector. I don't know if he missed his opportunity. This bomb site down on the bottom floor means all 4 bomb sites now played by Soniqs on their defense. They're fighting to tie up this first half. Teams will come to blows as Gomez and Grixer both taking some damage. Soniqs still have all their players alive, and they're holding multiple entries to the bomb site. They can block out M80 if they win their duels. They've lost Gunnar in the process, though. That's the first body to hit the floor. Now it's Geo and Rexen inside of blue, stacking up. The swing comes in from Rexen, losing the duel. There's blue control, slightly gone. Smart glasses go in from Grixer, but he's waiting, gives himself away, maybe a bit too late as the diffuser goes down. And it's a 2v4 as SQ, wandering back into the bomb site, are getting shown the door. Geo to try and give his team the even setting he needs. Can't get it done. Easy hole as diffuser is down for M80. 4-2 first half.
And I think this round is just like the icing on top, because this shows why M80 is a fantastic team right now. We see it in the first 5 rounds, play all aggression, rush, and try and go for early advantages. Then the final attacking round, it's a basement different from Soniqs. It's gonna change things up, right? Basement is very structured, you gotta set up deployable shields, ADSs, etc. The attackers have to just problem solve all that utility. You can't just go for gunfights, and we see M80 changing it immediately. Double hard breach, diffuse the Togepi. They spend 2 minutes just setting things up. Sure, they get the opening kill again, as they usually do in this matchup, but then again, they take a breather. Then the smokes go out, the last few charge, etc. They get into the bomb side, they start getting that plant down. The cover is perfect. They can play both sides of Rainbow Six Siege, and it pays out for them. 4-2 now in their favor. Oh, fun fact, IQ is now allowed in pro play again. IQ was not allowed in the first week due to a bug with the gadget.
An issue.
An issue.
There was an issue.
With the gadget.
It was a small issue.
It's been fixed. As
Hooray!
of, 2 days, yesterday, I believe, during UL, the play day was fixed in the morning. So you can now play IQ again. Hooray, hooray. Saw Gunner hovered IQ for a brief moment, but thought otherwise and went to Nomad instead.
For those that don't know, the glitch allowed IQ to see some gadgets at all times, even without her scanner out. I believe it was like Warden, Vigil, Pulse. There's a couple more.
Yeah, all the active, quote-unquote active gadgets, yeah.
Solus as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, not that I'd be upset with Solus having a bit less prevalence at this level. She's quite strong at this moment, but maybe through more conventional means.
Yeah.
First half, by the way, all 4 bomb sites were played out. M80 started things off with a flawless round. Soniqs did burn their timeout, so that's not available for them. M80 did not. Diffuser planted by M80 a bunch of times. And in terms of first bloods, only 1 first blood for Soniqs. There was a trade and then 4 for M80. So ultimately, M80 very much in the driver's seat of that first half on Chalet, which again, the desk said was quite ballsy that M80 would take SQ to this map.
Yeah, and things, I mean, sure you get 4-2, but you are starting on the attack inside, the quote-unquote favorite starting position, so I don't think we should count out Soniqs just yet as well. They can still show up. We know their attacks are solid from previously. If they do what they usually do, it comes down to whether M80 has read into it, studied it, prepared for it, or if Soniqs have made changes to their attacks, how effective they're going to be. Quiet start so far. Gomez is swinging out the big window inside of master bedroom, looking for something but not finding anything.
That's a very gutsy play. But I mean, hey, if you don't think there's anybody by that trophy window, you're not going to get spotted for it, so why not? Bomb site is all the way on the bottom floor. We're going back to this garage wine bomb site that was played by Soniqs, now being played by M80. Side swap has put M80 on defense for the remainder of this matchup, unless overtime happens. First pick I just talked about. Now, the Soniqs had trailed in first bloods. Well, they get it. They removed Gomez. That was the Frost that was playing on that top floor. There's still a roam, though, from M80.
And it was Grixer, again, really showing up for his team and they need him. Entering a stature is not an easy thing to do, but he gets the job done regardless. Those EMPs not really needed in this round.
Diffuser getting planted by Rexen. Do they just not have information? Geo in the midst of the gas. Now Rexen's life being ticked away at. He gets up, but he gets punished on the stairs. M80 coming out ahead in terms of operator count, but now they've got the timer working against them, and even worse is that Citizen is outside of Garage. This is a hard spot to fight back from if you don't have window control, but I guess if you're Diaz making those shots happen, then you can really get it done. Grixer in a desperate attempt in a 1v2 now. He's the only one there on the diffuser. He hops through the window and Spoit slaughters him in the process. M80 get onto the diffuser just in time. Their lead stretches as they take the first round of their defense.
The Toxic Bait being Toxic, getting 2 kills in a round really saved M80. I mean, that is a big thing. But also, I need to just point out in that 1 versus 2, Spoit basically willing to sacrifice his teammate who's going for the counter defuse, and there's a very good reason for that. Often when you're in that 2v1 and you got one person covering and one person trying to defuse, if Spoit holds an aggressive angle and he dies, his teammate who's like halfway through the defuse animation is almost guaranteed gonna die just half a second after. It's an easy flick for a pro player. He knows exactly where he is. By Spoit almost baiting his teammate. You know, Spoit could almost let him die and then go for the kill. It's a much safer situation to be in, but it's an easy mistake to make even at the highest level of Rainbow Six Siege, because it's not a natural thing to want to bait your teammate. So a very small detail, but just want to point out because we see time and time again pro players lose those 2v1s because they go for what seems like the better play when it often isn't.
10 seconds left before
Bravo!
I was going to say, I'm trying to see. I don't like talking about operators before they're locked in.
I know. I have too much faith in them. So Brahma, the way you can utilize her on Chalet in particular, is kind of like you do with Twitch, where you can toss in her drones early in the round, shut down default cameras, or look for other pieces of electronic gadgetry and convert it to your side. The Twitch drone will sap a gadget and kill it, destroy it, it's gone. Whereas Brava simply hacks the gadget. So if a defender owns a camera and you hack it with Brava, it becomes an attacker drone or camera now. And the defenders can no longer access it, but the attackers can. Same with the Meister cams, the Yoga drones, etc. Anything that's electronic, ADSs, you get the point. So you want to spend as much time early in the round to use that drone gadgetry so that you can take away as much, gain as much, and then be a free gun late in the round when you go for a plant before that executes, try and go for kills.
It's an E1D burned. I really do want to see what Rexon is able to grab with that clutch. He's already grabbed one of the default cams. Again, we talk about this trickster operator who can snatch gadgets away from you, providing that the drone stays within distance and range of that gadget. A lot of people will use them on fun things, like an evil eye camera or potentially a Capkin trap. Maybe even a well-placed goo mine can be well done. But default cams, as unsexy as, they may be, that was a very sexy play from Gomez, who swings in, or Geo swings in, dies. Nicely done. I want to make this point about the default cams. Default cams are incredibly strong, especially on flank. Yeah. If you are worried about the defenders flanking, take a default cam. You don't need to leave a drone in place. Most players are not going to instinctively think, hey, we might have to worry about default cams. There's no Dokkaebi on the board.
Yeah.
And that Brava can have huge value. Domino by domino continues to fall, and they're taking one another out as they go down. Spoit, 2 kills very quickly. Last 2 players from Soniqs are Citizens and Rexon, and they are both beat up.
That's tough. I mean, this is just outright, you know, this is a murder, essentially. Iconic and Spoit really just winning gunfights they have no business winning so consistently in this matchup so far. The Soniqs, they're struggling to try and find a way through this setup.
It's been a hard game for Gunnar, by the way, and it's been a hard start to this stage for Gunnar as well. A younger player, too, it's always a bummer to see that because you know that they're likely getting some kind of heat from fans and those on social media. Rexon picks up the very first kill, a second as well. That Cameras hits like a truck. The DMR in the hands of Brava. Closing this thing in, but Gomez blind gets them both. Excuse me? How on earth? He literally didn't even see it. And just like that, it's match point for M80.
Damn. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, this is just bloodbath, essentially. Right? It comes down to pure gunfights and Soniqs not being able to pull apart the setup. It's a deployable shield, a bulletproof camera, and just people playing aggressively behind it, winning gunfights. To speak about Soniqs and, you know, Gunnar's start to the season that hasn't been the most successful, Soniqs, they played against SSG, then Beast Coast, and Parabellum. So you can pretty much look at this and say they've actually played against a lot of good teams, which of course has an impact on where they are in the standings, how individual players' stats are looking. Soniqs, they have a single victory and an overtime loss. Overtime loss came to Spaces Gaming, 7-6 loss on Border, and they beat Parabellum 7-3 on Clubhouse. And when we were watching Soniqs play Border and Cafe, their first 2 maps, it looked like they kind of go back to basics. You know, the ABC of Siege, play more together because it looked a little bit disjointed. Then Soniqs played Clubhouse, and that was a beautiful thing to watch. Their attacks, phenomenal. They looked like they were on the exact same wavelength. Now, kind of back to Soniqs looking kind of disjointed again. I have to say that when you see Citizen last alive outside buildings, holding angles, not being that spirit he can be, now he's on Ash, maybe that's gonna change. It doesn't sit right with me. I know a demo has the same thought where it's just like, put this man to work. He can do so much for your team. Drone him in, give him a bit of resources to work with. That could be the change up now that Soniqs have made. Putting Citizen on the Ash, we'll have to see.
I mean, you got to kickstart something.
Yeah.
Timeout was burned at this point about 20 minutes ago by Soniqs, so they've just been going along round by round, trying to keep their head above water. It's not really been as successful as they want to be. This is an angle right now that Kino's holding that could just absolutely doom Soniqs if they lose this engagement. Kino in Library holding big window. Gunner not too far off. Gunner has had some serious troubles getting kills. Is he able to find anything with it? He's playing a very crucial operator for this bomb site. Bar Gaming, you've got the smokes. You've also got the flames. You've got backup smokes in Rexon's hands. So the Brava, who in Rexon's case will likely be involved in some kind of altercation, can still get those smokes down before dying. But it is imperative that Gunner not die early in this round. I expect that Geo getting the diffuser into the bomb site and planted, it rests a lot on the shoulders of Gunner. And if he dies early, that's a bad spot to be in. Gomez, the smoke, playing upstairs. He's done. Rexon on the entry, showing up huge. Kino still searching for his very first kill. We haven't spoken about it much. He finds it against Citizen. The number's now even. Don't really need to talk about Kino not doing too much when the rest of his team is excelling the way they are. Geo taking matters into his own hands and ensuring that Kino's single kill is all he gets should the match finish on this round. Advantage goes back to Soniqs with just under half the round to go.
Yeah, Spot in a tough position right now because he pretty much has to stay inside a library. Sacrificing that part of the map means the bomb set is under siege from above. He's gonna stick to his ground.
That DMR of Aruni hits like a truck. Geo picks up his second kill after Diaz had just removed Geo's teammate. Advantage still in favor of Soniqs with 1 minute left. Spoit, though, prowling from above. Diffuser going down to Geo. Gunner's there to get the cross, and, well, he actually misses his opportunity. Oh, no, Gunner! Everything goes bad there. They've managed to take the top floor, leaving Iconic as the sole man standing, so at least you get it back, but Iconic is usually so good in these positions. Gunner doesn't know where Iconic is. He has to drop. Now he has access to the diffuser, so Iconic will look for Gunner. Where do you find safe harbor? This whole match now resting on the shoulders, just as the plant did, of Gunner. Sends out a smoke, maybe to a confused Iconic, and there's the drop. Gunner finally gets it. Oh, that is one where you gotta take a deep breath and trust. Trusting Gunner, well placed.
I have to say that's an incredibly smart way for Gunner to play that 1 versus 1. I mean, you cannot plant that scenario. There's a hatch on both bomb sites, both opened up. 7 seconds on that plant timer. Iconic can play into that, drop at any moment's notice. And Gunner doesn't know exactly where he is. That library camera that was alive earlier was shot by Spoit right before he died. So going for a smoke bolt arrow in front of him to obscure the hat's vision, fake out the plant, force Iconic, reading the fact that he's gonna drop, and then going for the kill, pre-firing through the smoke off the sound. Perfectly played. And he keeps Soniqs alive, trying to push for overtime. But it is so difficult in these rounds. It comes down to 1 versus 1s where things are so close. Those are the rounds of Soniqs they win. But the rounds that they lose, they're relatively one-sided. So many things have to go right for Soniqs to win, but just if 1 or 2 small things fall apart, they end up losing the round. When you're at match point, when you're down 3 rounds as they are right now, that's really hard to work with because you're gonna start doubting yourself when it comes to risk assessment and risk taking. You might have this massive high risk, high reward kind of play you can make, but if it doesn't work out, as it hasn't really often so far, you lose the entire match. At the same time, if you don't take that risk, you might not have a chance to win regardless. So risk assessment when back is against the wall can be very difficult for some players to deal with. We'll see if they can make it work. Citizen had 1 round on Ash, he's back into Ace again. Didn't really find much in that previous round, he got shut down by Kino.
Like I said, we don't really need to talk about Kino's impact, even though he was playing more of those utility roles on attack, because the rest of the team is just doing their thing.
I mean,
Spoit had 10 kills.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if the front line is just walking through killing everybody, Kino's not even gonna see opponents.
Spoit has 10 kills, Iconic has 12 kills, Diaz has 8. Gomez has 8. Kino has 1. At this point, as long as Kino is doing his job in regards to supporting the rest of the team, that is good enough at this moment.
Yeah.
if the rest of the team starts to fall off and Kino struggles in his gunfights, maybe he's, his wrist has gone cold for the day. Who knows?
Maybe.
That obviously is bad for M80, but right now it's not imperative that Kino gets into these engagements.
There are only so many kills to be found, but Grixer finds another opening kill for Soniqs, looking good for him.
Gomez playing up top, I imagine. Now it's Iconic's turn. He's down. They're desperately looking for a secure. M80 really wants to take their engagements here, and they are not ready for any of it. Spoit wins his duel, but that's about it. Now it's Kino's turn. Heading down. Go for one of those picks, see what you can do. Doesn't make the shot. Revive for Iconic, now it's Spoit down. M80, their worst round yet, and Soniqs are taking advantage of this. Grixer with 3 of those kills. Kino in a 1v4. He's got, well, there you go. More damage done, 2 kills.
Attackers are activating.
What can he accomplish? Diffuser down. Soniqs looking so formidable. Almost a given that they're going to walk away with this round. Kino still has an opportunity. Problem is, well, the garage is open yet again. You're going to have 1 player from Soniqs far afield, potentially 2. Nitro Cell goes out. It misses its mark, but Citizen gives his position away over towards blue. A flash stops Kino from getting aggressive. 2 players from Soniqs, in fact, outside. And as great as Kino's shot was on Citizen, that was a thing of beauty. There's just 2 other players watching from the complete opposite angle. You can't do a 180 like that. Nobody can. Soniqs, 2 in a row. They're staying alive as M80 still sits on match point.
And that is going to be the tactical timeout from M80 with that. And it makes sense, you might as well take it now, really solidify this potential final round for them and, just end the match 7-4. But by M80 taking this timeout, it allows Soniqs to talk to their coach as well, their support staff, and also amongst themselves to think, what are they going to do? What are the problems? What do they keep on doing now? What has to change? Grixer being the outstanding player that I'm keeping my eyes on because he's finding opening kill after opening kill for his team, getting them to that 5 versus 4 position, and then just keep pushing forward to look for more. And it has been the saving grace for Soniqs on their attacking side so far. M80, they are really trying to battle it out in that previous round, just looking for gunfights everywhere on the map, but it doesn't go their way. They actually lose all their gunfights, and for the first time ever, they look like they really can be taken down in this matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what we are looking at right now is just what appears to be an attacker-sided Chalet. I will say that the first 3 rounds for M80 did look like 3 of the best rounds that we've seen so far. I want to add that last round to that column and say, hey, that was one of the, that round from Soniqs was one of the best that we've seen so far as well. But M80, despite not being at a numbers disadvantage, decided to take engagements that they didn't need to take. Swinging onto garage when the panels were open and you had no intel. Deciding to roam upstairs and take a fight there as well, instead of potentially falling off or having someone else to play off of you. Those were 2 mistakes that M80 made. Whether it was a peak for intel and they just simply lost the fight, and hey, sometimes that happens. I'm not sure. We're not in their heads. We can't be certain. But still, I mean, there were a number of errors from M80 on that round. Soniqs pounced on them, took advantage of them. Well done to Soniqs for that. But those first 3 rounds were very clean from the way that M80 entered. There was no trepidation from them. They took charge. They asserted their influence on the map. They got those picks. They win the first 3 rounds quite commandingly. Soniqs looked close to that in the previous round, but again, they needed a little bit of help from their friends.
Reload.
Whenever you see a team lose a bomb site and go straight back to it, it's either one of 2 reasons. A, it's like the statistical just best defender bomb site period, which basically Chalet is not, by the way, at least not historically. And the second option is usually because you think as a team something went wrong that just should not be happening. So by going back to that same bomb site, things are going to shape out differently. And if you're going to lose, it's going to be for a different reason than previously. M80, they seem to deem that that is going to be the problem because people just died early. They played maybe too aggressively. Set targets. They said, guys, don't swing the breach. Play back. Let them execute. We got this.
If you recall, the very first defense from M80 on this bomb site was when there was an improbable early plant. The smokes missed. They were a bit too late when they did finally secure a kill onto Geo and the down onto Rex. And it required M80 to retake, and only one because they had a 1.5 site playing by Snowmobile to make those engagements on both Citizen and Grixer, who were still outside. Heading into today, Chalet's only been played 1 time in NA, so it's very tough to gain any real statistics out of this. Only 3 bomb sites were played. That's the office bomb site upstairs, Snowmobile in the basement, and then kitchen dining. Bar gaming wasn't played at all. In terms of the 3 bomb sites in that single play day, of which there were 9 rounds, It was the bottom floor bomb site of Wine Cellar and Snowmobile with by far and away the worst defender win rate, which aligns with what you're saying. It's not a very friendly bomb site. Here, today in particular, Garage has now been played 4 times. It's been won by the attackers twice, defenders once.
Air jabs. Gonna scare off Sport for a brief moment. Of course, you can look for those air jabs by proning below the door. Soft on offense, of course, gives you an angle as well, but gotta be careful. You get caught by this.
Oh, nice set of eyes on Spoit, seeing a player on the top of main stairs. That's Gunner. Survives that bit of a scare, taking no damage. Spoit here's the air jab, but hasn't been in a position to take care of it just yet. First bit of damage comes onto the board. It's onto Iconic. That was the Warden downstairs playing in blue. Now it's Gomez, who has died a bit too early for M80's liking over the last couple rounds. That Frost likes holding off site, but you cannot be really cute with it. Diffuser going down. What is happening? Everybody is still alive. 30 seconds left. 10 players upright in the server. Geo gets the freest plant of his career, and up the stairs he goes before getting taken out by Iconic. So one step is done. Grixer punished by Spoit, who can now retake as well from above. And it's Kino to walk on the Citizen. Soniqs getting overpowered in this post plant. Rexon is also down, and it's a flawless comeback for M80. They kill every single player of Soniqs and then get the Diffuser to boot to throw the round into the win column 7-4.
I don't know if that's ever happened. A 5v5 plan successful into a perfect, flawless post-plan retake? Absurd. I mean,
that is going to be one to just go back and analyze. And I know there will be side content made about it. I am very excited.